Al Gore didn't invent the internet, and his term global warming was eventually deemed to be totally inadequate, and they had to come up with a new term, climate change. Al Gore may drive an electric car sometimes, but he is often headed to the airport in a gas-guzzling black SUV to his private jet. That private jet will leave a huge carbon imprint, men's shoe size 14, as he travels around the world telling people about what is really a very convenient line of bull feathers. My name is Jack Allen Willard. Our video, Don't Let the Crazies Decide Climate Change for You. Now, this is not a video denying an increase in extreme weather, a slight rise in temperature, and brutal cold snaps as well. We are not disavowing science, but the qualifications and conclusions of the scientists who make erratic, ever-changing proclamations of dire future temperature changes that will wipe out the planet. Now, the most amazing fact is at the end of this very short video. You don't want to miss it. It proves the nonsense of the New Green Deal people. Steve Koonin, former Undersecretary of Science for the Obama administration, says the planet is not warming catastrophically because of human conditions and habits. The 800-pound gorilla in the room is not fossil fuels. Wait till you hear what we're going to say about that. It is not fossil fuels. To eliminate fossil fuels, which would lead to millions freezing to death and a world in chaos, is absolutely ridiculous. There is no proof it would have the impact that the New Green Deal people think it would. Steve Koonin says heat waves in the U.S. are now no more common than they were in 1900. Hurricane activity is no different than it was a century ago. Now, some of the locations where the hurricanes land, like Fort Myers, Florida, has shocked us, has alarmed us, but you never know the direction a hurricane is going to take. You never know. Even when it's getting close to landing, the weather forecasters are saying it could do this and it could do that. They're certainly saying that 48 hours to 24 hours out. Floods have not increased over the world in 70 years, and Greenland's ice sheet has not shrunk much in over 50 years. Steve Koonin wrote the textbook on computer modeling. He notes it is extremely difficult. It is extremely difficult to predict future climate because it requires speculation and assumptions. Assumptions for the future. It's much more than simple physics. Say that again. It's much more than what they say, simple physics. Human judgment or ego-driven self-promoters that are everywhere now often spoil the broth and can lead to reckless, costly decisions. Bjorn Lomborg says in his book, False Alarm, panic over climate change cost us millions. It hurts the poor, and it fails to fix the perceived problem. Both men agree temperature fluctuation is slight overall, and we are not doing that bad. It doesn't seem like a scientific explanation to conclude by saying we are not doing that bad. But that's the truth. We are not. So we have, in this day and age, great thinkers like former bartender AOC, who speaks with emotion. You can see as she's being asked questions, she's trying to come up with something intelligent to say right there on the spot. She talks all about the new Green Deal and how we have just a few years left if we don't eliminate those fossil fuels. Of course, they push for everybody to have an electric car. In past videos, we have talked about the pandemonium, the chaos that would incur if everyone was driving an electric car. Can you imagine the waits at the charging station? Can you imagine the electric grids crashing, especially in the summer, as people try to charge their cars? In California, in the summer of 2022, they were telling people to please cut back. We're going to have total blackouts. Please don't charge your electric car right now. If you can help it, please don't. This is with just a small amount of electric cars. Imagine if we had all electric cars on the road. How much would it cost at those charging stations? What would it feel like to have 40 cars in front of you? And maybe you would go 400 miles. If you're on a 1,200-mile trip, it will be a total nightmare. A total nightmare. Electric planes, electric buses. How many in the December 2022 Buffalo, New York harsh winter storm would have died if there were no fossil fuels? How many more would have died? Over 70 died already. Solar panels and wind turbines would have folded like a card table from the discount store. Anyone with any intelligence knows this. They know it. They have to know it, but they're just not willing to put their mind in the direction of reality, The brutal storm and the brutal weather that we see all over the world sometimes, sub-zero temperatures, what have you, if there is no fossil fuel, human death will abound. Human death will abound. Now, they love to go after President Trump and make fun of him when he makes a comment about the harsh storm that hit Buffalo, New York in December of 2022. Now, the first thing is I lived 40 miles outside of Buffalo when I did my first job in radio in 1977. Brutal lake effect storms from Lake Erie are common there. I was in one in Dunkirk, New York. The snow was almost up to my mouth. All the power was out at that point. And there were fires. I had to run down and alert the police that there was a garage totally engulfed in flames because there was no communications. Brutal winters in western New York are commonplace. Many leave for the winter, but poor people can't do that. They need their fossil fuels. So AOC and all the progressive people in the squad and many who label themselves Democrats say we've got to have the new Green Deal. We've got to eliminate fossil fuels. Well, here is the truth. Here is the truth. The three major categories, some don't know this, the three major categories of energy for electricity are coal, natural gas, and petroleum. Without those, you don't get electricity. Obviously, the solar panel is not going to fuel the jet. It's not going to fuel your furnace. Imagine solar panels in the Buffalo storm or any brutal storm that you may have experienced in the part of the world you are in. It's a bunch of nonsense. Absolutely, we can make better decisions, cut down on emissions, make better choices in our personal lives. But the idea that fossil fuels can just simply go away and the planet not be in a state of utter chaos is ridiculous. If you type in the virtual church of the disillusioned here on YouTube, you'll be able to see all of our videos on many different subjects. I hope you will. My name is Jack Allen Willard. Thanks for watching, everybody.